Hi, and thank you for joining us. I'm Rick Titus, and this is the Robinson Restoration and Service website and YouTube video. This is from the newsroom, and a lot going on, a lot to share with you. Automotively, what's going on, much to my shock, and I have to be honest, I was a skeptic. Elon Musk nailed it on this absolutely ugly razor blade looking truck that he came up with. I don't know what it's good for. It's all electric, but it at least in Southern California, it's a must-have if you want to be cool, if you want to be an early adopter that gets recognized. The thing's one big huge wedge. Doesn't look particularly complicated, but I will say it is selling well, and though it's pricey by pickup standards, it's not outrageous by collector or unique standards. So, they're available and doing pretty good. Formula One. Now, if you spent Memorial Day weekend watching three of the major races, Monaco Grand Prix, Formula One race, and the truth is the race always stinks, but the setting is so good. The feeling of it, the air and the texture of it is so good, they can get away with putting on a really cruddy race. Because essentially there's no passing. It's the streets of Monaco, which, by the way, ain't a freeway. So they finished as they qualified. Ferrari won it, which was kind of good to see. Not kind of good, it was good to see. Charles Leclerc, the Frenchman, who lives in Monaco, by the way, actually rode his bicycle home after the event, so he didn't live too far from the track. But that whole seaport village kind of look, and the casinos, and the kind of money, there's big money in Monaco. I was looking at 80 to 150 foot yachts in the bay there that didn't even get a dock. They had to raft, which means, in boating means, tie up next to another one, next to another one, next to another one. I mean, can you imagine showing up to a place thinking at 150 feet, you kind of winning the big contest? No, there was much bigger stuff than even that. So pretty interesting to see the kind of money and how it's spent. What a gorgeous setting. And the racing wasn't awful, and the Haas guys were out, which is the American team, out pretty early. Well, half a lap, is that early? By a teammate mistake that took out the second Red Bull, and of course his teammate in the other Haas. So, oops. Now, one of the things that really got my dander up, and I guess I should finish this topic. If you watch that race, then you watch the Indianapolis 500, which was really boring until the last 40 laps. But in that, rookie Kyle Larson, who was sitting sixth on the starting grid, really did a heck of a job, man. He was doing really well, but he made a rookie mistake. He came into the pits going pretty quickly. He tried to get everything locked up and slowed down when he realized he was going to come in over the speed limit for the pit area. It hurt him. It hurt him bad. In the end, he ended up finishing 29th, which is a shame because he really did have a 5th or 6th place finish going, which that's pretty darn impressive for a rookie. Then, and that race had been delayed about 4 hours. He then hopped on the corporate helicopter from Hendrick Racing and caught a flight up to Charlotte for the 600 miler there. But that one was rain short, and that race had to start without him. I suspect the plan was for him to jump in. He got a waiver to let that count towards points. But it got cut real short. So I don't think he got too sweaty inside that stock car, because I think he didn't get enough time in it to make that happen. Okay, so it was pretty good racing. It certainly occupied a whole day. Weather, as it usually is, was some kind of a hindrance somewhere. The only one that would have run in the rain would have been Monaco. Road race guys will run in it, but nobody at Indy is going to go out there on wet tires or anything resembling them. And Charlotte's pretty darn fast. I've done tire testing at Charlotte, and I will tell you, these guys are brave. Also, those 3,400-pound cars around that place at close to 200 miles an hour, fender to fender. Bold stuff, bold stuff. But I understand why they don't go out in the rain either. Moving on, one of the things that really annoyed me, this whole electric vehicle introduction, force-fed as it was, and I'm talking force-fed in a nasty way. I mean, threatening the manufacturers and threatening the public, and you got to get these, and you won't be able to get gasoline-powered cars anymore by 2030, and we're just going to tax those to death, and on and on. I mean, it felt very Marxist the way they were doing it, but typical of the company, of the government. Nothing was thought out until the public's going, well, do we have enough power to charge these up every night or every day? And well, no, but we'll get into that. We'll waste billions of dollars, and that's what the Secretary of Transportation of this country has done. I'm not going to name him because I don't want to put myself in a libelous position, but the guy's a donkey. And he's blaming the manufacturers for how poorly this went. He spent billions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of engineering hours in a rush, a panic to get these electric vehicles, designed, conceived, built, manufactured, tested, and brought to market, which, according to the government, takes 15 minutes. According to the real world, takes closer to 3 or 4 years. But they hustled it, they got it done, and of course, there was no market. By the time they got there, people realized, hey, we got no way to charge these things. It's great around town, but how do we get it anywhere? Well, what I found particularly interesting is that Secretary of Transportation had handed out billions of dollars across to each of the states to start building these charging stations. Well, out of the 387, I think was the initial number that they were supposed to have by now, they've got 4. Not 5, not 3, but 4. At a cost, if you amortize it out, at about $40 million each. Now, they've given the money out to the states, most of whom have spent it elsewhere in their general budget. And we're no further ahead on these electric power stations, which America doesn't have the grid for in the first place. This is a knee-jerk reaction to the green movement. And listen, everybody wants the planet to be good, but not stupid good. There's a way to get here without damaging and hurting so many people, so many companies, so many employers. Really ridiculous stuff. And the neutral ground that's kind of been reached is hybrids, small engine, helping power an electric motor, is really a safer first bet. I'm not against electric vehicles. They're actually pretty fun to drive. Some of them are real serious hot rods. But gosh darn it, the government, it just doesn't, they couldn't run a lemonade stand, I'm telling you. They jump into things, force other people to spend all the money to pay the price, and then they bail. And then the Secretary of Transportation says, well, yeah, the manufacturers blew this. No, they didn't. They spent a lot of effort trying to meet your deadline of 2030, now moved to 2035, because you donkeys couldn't get it together. You never do get it together. Anything you touch loses money, and this is just more proof of that. Let the free enterprise system do its job. Let these manufacturers produce these cars in realistic volumes. Of course, they can't wait to brag that there's over 1 million electric vehicles. 1 million's a drop. That's, we live in a much bigger society than that. So, and it's great that we're generating lots of green energy or green air. I just want to remind you, whenever the wind comes up, that air moves on to another country that's not. And we're back where we were, still spending a ton of money, giving other countries a ton of money, and it's not doing Americans any good. On the topic of not doing Americans any good, IndyCar, as of July, will be hybrid-powered vehicles. Yes, you'll still have the noisy, V8s behind them, but they're mostly going to count on a hybrid power booster inside the car, which only increases the complexity of building and preparing an Indy car, maintaining an Indy car. The costs are going to be very high. And it's interesting and ironic timing. They're announcing they're doing this effective in July, just as Formula One is saying we can't wait to get out of our hybrid vehicles, which they are. We want to be out by 2030. We don't want them anymore. We don't want the complexity or the costs or the damage that they cause, the dangers of working on them, and it's unnecessary. So now Indy's going to pick them up. Now I think IndyCar happens to be, despite a lot of really talented drivers and some really good deep teams, the management at IndyCar, in my opinion, should spend less time in the bar and more time looking at what they're really bringing to market. It's a product, and that product is paid for by fans in the bleachers and people watching television. And you still can't get it together. The fans will gain nothing. There'll be no benefit to the fans of IndyCar to watch a hybrid car as opposed to the pretty noise cars that make right now. But that's how it tends to go, you know. They like doing this stuff. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. We hopefully can bring you more and more information. And we are going to start filming at events now. We just needed to get going. This is only, show 5 or 6 for us. So hang in, be safe. We wish you open roads and safe motoring.